Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something really, really cool today. The Lake Michigan UFO sightings back in '94. I mean, picture it summer in Michigan, beautiful nights, and then boom, people start seeing all these strange lights and objects over the lake. It wasn't just like one or two people either.
You're right. It wasn't just a couple of isolated reports. What makes this case so interesting is the sheer number of witnesses, especially around the Holland, Michigan area,
Mhm.
who all described seeing pretty much the same thing. And the details they gave, really fascinating stuff.
So, what were people actually seeing? Give us the rundown. What was everyone freaking out about back in the summer of '94?
Okay, so the most common description that pops up over and over is this large, triangular-shaped craft. And we aren't talking small here. Witnesses said this thing was massive, way bigger than any airplane or anything they'd seen before. And along with this shape, there were these super bright lights.
Okay, so not just a little blip in the sky. We're talking big and bright. But hold on, was it just sort of floating there? What about how it moved?
That's where things get really wild, and where the whole UFO label really starts to fit. People described seeing this thing making these crazy sudden movements. Like imagine something just zipping across the sky, then making a sharp 90-degree turn instantly, or speeding up like crazy and then stopping on a dime, just hovering there silently before taking off again. Stuff that normal planes just can't do. It was like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that would definitely make you look twice. But I guess, sometimes people misinterpret things, especially on a summer night. What really stood out to me, though, in the research you sent over was that even off-duty police officers reported seeing these things. I mean, that has to mean something, right?
Oh, absolutely. These were trained officers, people used to observing things carefully, and they were totally baffled by what they were seeing. It wasn't just a quick glance either. They watched this huge triangular thing for a good while, long enough to know it wasn't anything they'd ever come across before.
So we've got multiple witnesses. Everyone's saying pretty much the same thing. Even police officers are like, whoa, what is that? You'd think someone would have figured it out by now, right?
Well, you'd think so. The FAA, of course, they looked into it, but their official conclusion was basically, nope, nothing unusual going on. And local law enforcement, they investigated too, but in the end, it's still an unsolved case.
So basically, a big old question mark hanging over the whole thing. No wonder people are still talking about it. It's that whole we don't know thing that keeps us hooked, right? The mystery of it all.
Exactly. Unresolved mysteries, that's what fascinates us. When you have solid evidence but no clear explanation, that's when all the theories and speculation start swirling.
Let's get into those theories then. What are some of the main ideas people have come up with to try and explain these Lake Michigan sightings?
Well, considering how strange these objects are moving and what they look like, the most popular theory, the one that really grabs people, is the whole extraterrestrial thing. Alien visitors. I mean, when you see stuff that seems to break all the rules of physics, you can't help but wonder if it's something from beyond our world.
Aliens, huh? Always a classic. Definitely fits the whole UFO vibe. But let's bring it down to Earth for a sec. What are some of the other explanations that have been tossed around?
Right. Well, another common one is that it could have been top-secret military aircraft or some kind of experimental tech they were testing out.
Hmm.
Michigan, especially around the Great Lakes, has quite a few military bases, so it's not totally crazy to think something classified might have been flying around.
Secret government stuff, that's another classic when it comes to UFOs. Okay, but before we go full conspiracy theory here, we should at least mention the less exciting possibilities.
Oh, for sure. There are definitely people who say what folks saw might have been natural phenomena, some sort of atmospheric weirdness. We're talking maybe strange weather, light playing tricks, or some kind of natural event that got misinterpreted.
Right, the usual suspects, weather balloons, swamp gas, all that jazz. But honestly, when you look at all the details these witnesses gave and how consistent their stories are, those explanations don't always hold up, especially when you think about those police officers seeing this thing up close.
You've got a point. And that's what makes this whole case so intriguing. Strong evidence, but no simple answers. It really makes you think about what we know and what we don't.
It really does make you wonder, what if there's more to those lights in the sky than just mistaken identity? What if it was something truly mind-blowing?
That's a question worth exploring. And to really do that, I think we need to broaden our perspective a little bit. Because these Lake Michigan sightings, they weren't just a one-off event.
Wait, there's more. Tell me everything.
The Great Lakes, especially Michigan, they have this history, with UFO sightings
Mhm.
going back decades. It's almost like this area is like a magnet for this kind of stuff.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of cases are we talking about?
Well, one that really stands out happened back in 1966.
Hmm.
So a few decades before all those Lake Michigan sightings you've been digging into. This one was in southeastern Michigan, near places like Dexter and Hillsdale.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people, they all reported these weird lights up in the sky.
Hmm.
Some even said they saw classic disc-shaped objects, like the classic UFO look.
Like straight out of those old sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
So this was the 60s. I'm guessing people took this pretty seriously back then. Did anyone actually investigate those sightings?
Oh, yeah, definitely. This case got big enough that the Air Force got involved. They had their own UFO investigation going on back then called Project Blue Book. You might have heard of it.
Project Blue Book, yeah. That's legendary in UFO circles. So what did they make of these Michigan lights? What was their big conclusion?
Get this, their final report. They said it was swamp gas. Swamp gas causing all those lights in the sky.
Swamp gas! Seriously, it's like the go-to explanation for anything weird in the sky, right? I bet people weren't too happy with that answer.
You're telling me. A lot of the people who saw this stuff, including like police officers, local officials, they weren't buying it at all. They were totally convinced that what they saw was way too complicated, too strange for it to just be swamp gas. They said it moved in ways swamp gas just couldn't.
Another unsolved mystery then. Adds to the whole mystique of the Great Lakes, right? But the 66 case, it really highlights what you're saying earlier, that this Michigan thing, it's not just a random fluke. It seems like this area is kind of UFO central.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
and if you zoom out even more, look at the whole Great Lakes area, not just Michigan. Places like Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, they've got their fair share of UFO reports too. It's a whole region with a lot of these unexplained things happening.
So we're talking about a pattern here, right? Not just a couple random things. Decades of weird stuff going on in the sky over this huge area. That's pretty wild when you think about it.
It really is. And it makes you ask, why? Why the Great Lakes? What is it about this place that seems to attract all this activity?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I've heard some folks talk about a UFO highway over the Great Lakes, like these objects are following some kind of set path. What do you make of that?
It's a cool idea for sure. Some folks think there might be something about the geology of the area, like certain rock formations or maybe energy fields under the lakes these objects are drawn to. Others say it could be tied to all the military stuff in the region, like maybe the bases are somehow involved. Honestly, though, we're just guessing here. We don't have any hard proof for any of these theories yet.
It's the not knowing that keeps things interesting, though, right? All these questions without easy answers, they make you think outside the box, consider possibilities that mess with everything we think we know about the world. But let's come back to the core issue here. What does it all mean? I mean, what if these sightings really are proof of something beyond anything we can explain, like aliens, for example?
That is the big question, isn't it? If we could actually prove that we're being visited by intelligent life from another planet. I mean, think about it. That would change how we understand the universe, our place in it, everything. Our whole worldview would be flipped on its head.
It's hard to even wrap your head around, knowing we're not alone in the cosmos, that would be huge, like a paradigm shift, unlike anything we've ever experienced.
Absolutely. Everything would have to be rethought. Science, technology, even our philosophy, religion, how we see ourselves, all of it. It would be a discovery that totally redefines what it means to be human.
It's a lot to process, that's for sure. But even if these sightings aren't aliens, I mean, even if it's something else, something we haven't figured out yet, it still shows that there's stuff out there that science can't fully explain.
Right. It reminds us that there are still mysteries in the world, things we can't just dismiss or explain away easily. And that's exciting in a way, don't you think?
For sure. It means there's still so much out there to discover, to explore. It feels like we've just scratched the surface here. We started with those eyewitness accounts, those strange lights over Lake Michigan back in '94, and we talked about all those official investigations, which didn't really give us any clear answers. And then we got into all those crazy theories, aliens, secret government stuff, the whole 9 yards.
And we saw how that specific event in '94, it fits into this bigger pattern, all this unexplained stuff in the sky over the Great Lakes, decades of it, and nobody's really been able to explain it, which is why people keep talking about it, right? It captures the imagination.
I gotta say, I started this whole deep dive thing feeling pretty skeptical, but hearing all this, I can see why people are so fascinated by this topic, these unsolved mysteries. They make you wonder. make you want to figure out what's really going on.
It's the mystery that keeps us hooked, I think. The fact that we don't have all the answers, whether you believe in aliens or government conspiracies or not, it makes you realize that there are still things out there that we don't understand, things that challenge how we see the world.
It's kind of humbling, you know? We think we're so advanced with all our science and technology, but then we run into stuff like this and it shows us that we still have a lot to learn.
It is, and that's maybe the most important lesson we can learn from these UFO sightings, that sense of wonder, that humility. It reminds us to stay curious, to keep asking questions, and to never stop trying to figure out the mysteries that are all around us.
So for everyone listening, what does this all mean? What should we take away from all this talk about Lake Michigan and UFOs and all this unexplained stuff?
I think the key thing is to keep an open mind. Don't be afraid to question what you think you know, and always be ready to consider new possibilities, even if they sound a little crazy at first. The universe is a vast and mysterious place, and we're only just starting to figure out where we fit in.
It's a reminder that there's still so much out there waiting to be discovered. Who knows what answers are waiting for us or what new questions we'll uncover as we keep exploring.
That's it, exactly. So next time you look up at the night sky, remember the stories we talked about today.
Right.
Think about those witnesses who saw something truly strange, those investigators who tried to find answers, and the ongoing search to understand all these mysteries. And and maybe, just maybe, you'll see something that sparks your own sense of wonder, something that sends you on your own journey of discovery